This is episode 325 of the Culture Trail Running Podcast. And tonight's episode, we feature the blind donkey runner, John Robert Mckay.
So, in case you might have forgotten from the last episode, on our podcast, we talk about all the fun and crazy shit that happens on the trails and in our lives that most people don't care about or won't talk about. So this episode is a real treat, and I'm just walking away from it in such a good, positive mood. And I hope that you guys get the same out of it as I did.
From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Culture Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is f***ing explicit and raw like the trails we run on, so don't listen with your kids! Culture is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Well,
Yay!
Welcome.
Sorry.
That's good. That's all right, Beck. We can be happy, right? Welcome, everybody, to the Culture Trail Running Podcast. My name is Art Byram, and I'm your host, and I co-host with Evil Becky Burke.
Hello.
And
why am I waving? I know I shouldn't be waving.
That's okay.
Doesn't make great sense.
You can wave.
Okay, thanks.
And joining us tonight is somebody that, and he's going to help me remember all the details of this, but somebody that I've been interacting with, I guess initially online for many years at this point. We have John Robert Mckay. So welcome, John.
How's it going? What's up?
Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Now, I was thinking back and I was trying to remember when we first started connecting, and I think it was Twitter, correct?
I think so. Because you're the Blue Blaze runner, correct?
Yes. And you're the blind donkey runner.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yes.
Which we're going to have questions about that.
Yes, that's certainly going to be on the list of questions there. So, and you're not you're not from Connecticut or in Connecticut. Why don't you tell us where you're calling from or where you're from?
So I'm in Rome.
Room in the house.
The calls are.
The call's coming from in the house. He's in my living room.
I wouldn't know. I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm at. No, I'm in Northwest Georgia, Rome, Georgia, to be exact. Kind of close to about an hour south of Chattanooga, because I think early in the show you guys have ran the Chattanooga 100, or
yeah,
someone did.
That would be me.
And talked a lot about it.
Hasn't stopped talking about it.
Not mentioning any names.
Yeah, that might have been.
But there's one person that did it and one person that did not.
And his name rhymes with Fart Hiram.
Oh my goodness. So that's kind of in my backyard. I don't get up there as much to run those trails. I'm mostly, unfortunately, running roads. There is a concrete lake path that's near my house, but other than that, I don't get as out to many trails as the lake because I'm usually by myself.
Okay.
But yeah, Northwest Georgia is where I call home.
Gotcha. All right. I think before we get into the running stuff, kind of want to talk about some of your background and stuff, right, Beck?
Yes, but before we ask that, we wanted to, this is something new. We wanted to say if you have any opening statements, anything that you want to start out with, that you want to let the court know, let the people know before we let the people know.
I just want to say I really appreciate Art Byram for starting this podcast because.
Damn it! All right, keep going.
Because I heard about you guys from 10 Junk Miles, and I was looking for some other podcast, and this was around episode 20, I think. So I listened to those backlogs, and that's when I caught up with you guys around episode 25, episode 20. So.
Wow. Huh.
Man.
That's cool. Thank you. And Becky, you see, no good deed goes unpunished, right? No,
I know.
You try to be evil, and you still help me paddle my canoe. So
yeah, so did John. John, I didn't know you were going to pick up an oar and start paddling for art.
Well,
Yeah,
But that's very
learned.
nice.
I've learned how to do that from him.
that's right.
He's
He's
rubbing off on me.
he's a pro. He is definitely a
He is
pro
the
here.
master. He is. All right. Well, that's actually a wonderful opening statement. It would have been more wonderful if you were like, "Oh my God, what have all of you done to me?"
That's right.
Or,
And my attorney will be
but that's all right.
Or your opening statement could have been, I'm not saying shit without my attorney. That would have been good.
Well, I can't even see where he's at, so I don't know where. I don't know if he's here.
There you go.
So we kind of wanted to like start from the beginning and just like hear about little John. Were you called Johnny?
Actually, no.
Ever?
I go by Robert, actually, but my Facebook is John Robert.
Oh,
So that's
very interesting. So you go by Robert, not Rob,
Yes.
not Robbie, not Bobby
Yes.
or Bob.
no. I'll go by anything as long as I'm not late for dinner.
But boom. I
There
like
you
it.
go.
I'm actually the third. My grandfather was John Robert. He went by Robert, and then my dad's Bob. So I'm the third. And
Wow.
so
So they don't call you number 3 and your dad wasn't number 2.
no.
I have to go number 2. Get it?
Although one of my favorite numbers is 3, but it has nothing to do with that. But
Maybe it does subconsciously.
you
Like
I've never thought
subconsciously
about
you
that.
know that you are like you might be the third, but you're really number 1. Like
I've never really thought about it that way, but you could be right, Becky.
I think I'm right.
And
Just for listeners of the show, so I swear to God, as my witness, we will have some actual serious content in this show if you hang on. So just like
All right, sorry.
that's it. No, it's good. It's good.
Yes.
Beck, it's all great. I love it. But just in
Okay.
case people were
Okay.
thinking,
Yes.
just so you know,
So-
spoiler alert, there will be some.
There will be. Yeah.
That's right.
There will.
Some deep conversation.
So yeah, so you told us about that you're from Georgia. Do you mind like just telling us a little bit about little Robert? Just like, where you're born, not where you're born, but like growing up and kind of things you liked to do and family and all that fun stuff.
Sure. I was always an athletic. I wanted to be athletic. I mean, my family was sort of athletic, but I always wanted to be the sports guy. I mean, I grew up shooting basketball or trying to catch a football in the front yard. I just grew up just, trying to hit a baseball, and that there's an art to that as a blind person, I'll tell you that. And just trying to do stuff athletically. And then when I got to middle school, I found, hey, I can actually run track and wrestle. So I started wrestling and running track. And
Oh,
then
wow.
that migrated to freshman year cross country halfway through the season. And then I was just doing that to stay in shape for wrestling because that was my favorite sport at the time. And then I fell in love with running trails and just running in general. So I ended up running all 4 years of high school, cross country, wrestling, and track. At first, I was lazy in middle school, and I did the 200 and the 100 because I did not want to run the 800.
yeah.
Because the coach didn't know what event to put me in, so he put me in the 800. I was like, Coach, I cannot run that far. And so I did the 200 and quickly realized I am too slow for the 200. So in 7th grade, I started trying to adjust to the 8 and the mile, and then
Now, just to kind of clarify here, so my understanding. Now, if you could tell us maybe about your when you lost your vision as well, and kind of bring that into the story.
So I lost my vision when I was 2.5. I was born with hydrocephalus, which basically is water on the brain. I'll go into the details. It might get complicated, but there's normally a ventricle that lets your spinal fluid flow naturally through your brain and circulate back through your body. Well, that is clogged with a blood clot. It's not life-threatening, thank goodness. So, but the fluid kept building up on my brain and expanding my skull. And when it did that, it was putting pressure on my brain and giving me all kinds of headaches and nausea. I don't remember this because like I said, I was 2, 1, somewhere in there. So they went in to relieve the pressure off my, relieve the fluid pressure, and they did that with a shunt tube, which is going from the right side of my head down the right side of my neck and to the front side of my chest and into my stomach, and it's constantly flowing, and it's going to be there the rest of my life. So when they did that, the release of the pressure off my optical nerves destroyed them. There's some still left because I have a tiny bit of vision, not enough to read print or, be in school very well or academically very well, but it's good enough to get me in trouble sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've adapted over the years, and since 2.5, and I've adapted and learned how to use that little bit of vision to my advantage. I mean, it's what they call light perception, but I can still see colors. Like I can tell that my shirts and shorts are red and there's writing on them. I know what it says, but I can't read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can run on the roads good enough to stay out of traffic. I've never been ran over I've never been over, but there's been a few close calls. But up until this day, I've been lucky.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's great.
Okay. All right. So because I was just thinking about like the challenges of running and are you able to stay in a lane on a track?
Yes, tracks are my favorite place. Like,
oh, okay. Huh.
Visually.
Mm-hmm.
If I had I'd either be running on a 400-meter track or the woods. Like those are my two favorite places.
Wow.
I know they're vastly different. The woods is for the adventure, and if I'm running in the woods, I need somebody with me. I need a guide telling me, hey, there's roots and rocks here, or hey, we need to turn right here.
Mm-hmm.
The 400-meter track, I can let go because I know there's no obstacles. I know unless somebody left a hurdle out on the track, which sometimes happens.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually did that 2 weeks ago when I was helping out at my kids' track meet. Sorry,
luckily,
somebody ran into it.
Oh, and they weren't blind, were they?
No.
Not when they started.
No.
But yeah, I can just open up my stride and just let go and run confidently on a track. So
wow. Huh.
I still haven't done a 24-hour track ultra, but I would like to give a track ultra a shot.
Really?
Oh,
really?
We have one at our high school in 3 weeks. 24 hours on the track.
Unfortunately, I am nowhere near Connecticut, or I'd be there.
That'd be pretty impressive. You're like, I'm on my way.
I'll start running. I'll start running now.
Right. Well, that definitely brings up other questions, but I'm going to put them down. I'm going to write that question down because I'm going to stay on track.
So
yeah, there you go.
After high school, I went to college, and it's a small JUCO college, and I was just running to stay in shape. And the cross country coach saw me. He's like, "Well, we practice every day," and I was like, "Can I train with y'all?" And I started training with them, and he had me. He gave me a test run. He's like, "Go run this distance," and he sent one of the slow girls to run with me because she didn't want to do swimming that day because we had swimming workouts. He's like, keep up with her and I'll let you on the team. Well, we did the run and he pulled her aside and he's like, can he actually run? And the girl was like, yeah, he's just blind, he can run. So I ran for 2 years for Gordon State College for cross country.
That's awesome.
It took them a couple of races to figure out this dude needs a guide. Because I ran the first couple of races trying to follow people, and our second race I ended up running into a barbed wire fence on a cow farm.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
So I have a history with barbed wire fences. I ran into one in college too, or high school as well. So.
Huh.
Oh.
Now, how does that affect your like your confidence running forward, as you're moving, do you like, I mean, because that's got to be a terrifying prospect, to be able to.
If I'm in an area that I don't know, I'm really cautious unless there's
Mhm.
somebody with me.
Mhm.
And that doesn't happen very often. I don't usually I'm running by myself. It's on a trail that I know or a flat area where I don't have to worry about anything.
Mhm.
If I'm gonna be in a place I don't know, I have a guide, and most of my guides are really great. I've had very few guides who didn't realize what they were supposed to be doing.
So that
You're
that
gonna
was
jump into
actually
that question, aren't
that
you?
was yeah. I'm sorry, Beck. I'm jumping around a little bit, but
Yeah.
that was a question of mine because I have to imagine that the relationship with the guide is a very important one, right? And that like, a good guide can probably make all the difference in the world, right?
They
And
can.
sometimes you have a lemon.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
like a lemon car, you get a lemon
Ooh.
guide where you're like, oh, can I just send you back?
I mean,
I remember having one of those, and God love the guy. He was amazing. He was a great person, but he was terrible at calling out things.
mm. And
Oh.
what was there any
So it
downside to that? Like, was there any consequences or?
I think I fell down a hill,
Oh,
but other than that,
like was he just kind of like forgetting like like not being kind of like when
he would
I'm
forget that he was supposed to call out stuff. He would forget, oh, there's a route there, and oh, I found it already.
okay.
But
What about having like a guide that was like really good, but you were like, oh my God, I can't handle being around this person. They need to get away. Like what if they were like a tutor
no,
or
I'll
talker
appreciate it.
too much?
I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Like, I don't
a
care.
tutor, not like a school tutor or a building architectural style. We're talking
No, I don't care.
somebody who's passing gas.
As long as he can tell me which way to go and where, if there's roots or rocks, and not to get hurt. As long as he keeps me safe, I don't care. And like
Wow.
I like
So,
running. So
but now have you had to like explain like the perfect guide? If you had the perfect guide, what does that look like? Like how are they calling things out, and how do they, how are they doing their job?
basically a 3-2-1 and then obstacle count. So
Oh,
route
okay.
in 3-2-1
Oh.
route, or three,
Oh,
two, one, step off. Or
Oh.
turns I can see turns most of the time. So turns aren't as pivotal or difficult. So, hey, we're turning up here in a little bit, and I can start looking for the turn.
mm-hmm.
Um, but that's basically it. I mean, that's basically my needs are for
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh,
Now, I will say, running Boston with the two guides, it got very difficult at points because it was so loud.
Oh, yeah.
Even with having two guides, it was difficult.
Mm.
So yeah, can you tell us about I know I'm joking, I'm jumping around too, but can you tell us about the Boston experience? Like what brought you there and the what you thought of it?
So it was a goal always to run a marathon. I've actually ran further than a marathon, but to actually ran a legitimate marathon and qualify. So my friends, got together and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna do this. We're out of shape, especially like we're gonna have to train for it, but we're gonna do it for you just to get you there because we were. I mean, that's what kind of friends we are."
Oh,
Yeah. And he actually, in the middle of training, he had to move out to Colorado, so we were training with each other from afar. But that was their goal. So we ran the Chickamauga Battlefield Marathon in November of 23, and that was probably the best marathon or training period I've had in a very long time. I was in great shape. Wish I was in that kind of shape right now, but I digress. So
so
yeah,
you got to tell me what kind of time did you run?
That marathon was 4 hours and 50 minutes and 51 seconds. No, wait, I had that
That's
backwards.
great.
I had 450, 150.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought you were like 51 hours,
Yeah,
50
51
minutes,
hours.
and 4 seconds.
Yeah. I'm slow, Becky. I'm very
Oh,
slow.
no. That's awesome.
But
That's great.
Boston was like almost an hour longer than that because I from late November to around late February, or late March, I was dealing with a sickness that I could not catch or get rid of. It was either the flu or bronchitis or allergies or something. Just couldn't get rid of it. And
Oh,
finally I got rid of it. And then right after that developed a muscular foot issue in my foot, both feet now that I'm dealing with. And it started in the calves and I haven't been able to kick it yet. So I'm working on
Mm.
that. So I ran Boston kind of out of shape.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the qualifying, how does that work? Is there a like is there like a blind
standard.
blind standard,
So
or how does that
if you're in the competitive field for visually impaired, there's a certain time you've got to make. I think it was like 3 hours and 30 minutes or 3:20 or something like that.
Mhm.
Oh,
But
shit.
if you're non-competitive and you're just running for the adaptive program, it's 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that must have been so exciting. Like that must have been even more exciting. Like turning that, corner and being like, oh my God, I'm gonna do it with 10 minutes to spare. Like I got this. I'm getting, you know what I mean? Like I've qualified.
They told me that the 5 hour lady was behind me, like at mile like 10. And I was like,
Oh,
crap, I gotta go.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
ran the last 16.2 miles looking back, like, where's she at?
Where were they? Now, here's a question. Were they being honest?
I think so.
Mm.
So, and then my friend that I ended up running with was like, "Hey, we're good. We're gonna get there. Just relax and run." So,
Mm.
the last 4 miles, 5 miles were more relaxed, but still, I was paranoid. I was like, I hope she doesn't catch me.
Yeah. So what are your friends? You want to give your friends a shout out?
Yes, Brad Slocum and Josh Carpenter. They have other
Those sound
nicknames.
like good names.
They
They
do.
are. I
They
had to think
sound
of
like
their.
they sound like they are in a freaking band, right? I think they played with the Grateful Dead, like they kind of stood in with them, right? Slocum and Carpenter, right?
I had to actually think of their actual names because we have a workout group down here and we have nicknames for each other.
Oh.
Um, one of them, Brad is Babyface and Carpenter is Straight Jacket. So I had to think of their actual names.
Oh,
I
well, I like
love that.
those are their actual names,
So
Straight
those are their
Jacket.
names, yes.
Yeah.
Mine is Motley Crue because I like running into barbed wire fences, and apparently, the lead singer or Pamela Anderson was with Motley Crue at the time. So, and he put a song out called the movie Barbed Wire. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that's
All
how
right.
that's how they come up with that. But
I
uh,
like it.
I like the Blind Donkey Runner better. But
All right.
Gotcha.
So I do want to ask about that, but I want to go back to Boston. Before I ask you about the blind donkey, the donkey runner, the donkey blind runner, whatever. Okay, you'll tell me. So Boston, did you run with both of your friends there? Were they your guides, or
yeah,
did you have somebody else as a guide?
they were my guides. They were both with me all the whole 26.2. So
Mm.
That's awesome.
yeah, it
So
was fun.
uh, were there things about that marathon that you didn't expect or that you did expect, or like did it live up to what you had in your head, good, bad, and in between?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was not expecting all the people that were supporting. That was awesome. That
Mm.
was fun.
Yeah.
The race itself, I was expecting it to be more hilly,
Mm.
but it was still hilly as
Mm.
crap. So I was struggling. But
The race is kind of like that, if it's the kind of race that when things are going well, um, you know what, you hit the top of Heartbreak and everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just plow down that hill. But like, if they're not, then it's a long way from the top of Heartbreak to you know, the Sitco
Well, I think
sign
it's
and beyond.
the placement of the hills too. Like if it was just if those if you had that much elevation, like that gain, but it differently or spread in different places, I don't think it would be as hard. The fact that that first 10 miles is that, or 7, is that like gradual downhill. And then when you get to 16, it's like, we're going to give you a hill, then we're going to give you another, then we're going to be, and each one you're like, is this like the Heartbreak Hill? And then you get to it and it's like somebody punched you in the face.
That's what we keep asking. Our friend or my guides kept asking, "Is this it? Is this it?" And by the way,
Yeah.
that first 7 miles is not all downhill. There's some nasty hills in there, and I'm like, I thought it was all downhill. Y'all lied to me.
That's those two-faced Yankees, right? Even though
No.
Boston. So.
I could never. I heard that there was a dog statue at mile 2, but I never saw it, and my guides didn't either. So I was gonna.
We'll complain to the association. I never saw a dog statue either.
A gentleman dog statue. I believe there's one there. I've heard of this allegedly.
Alleged.
But I've never seen it myself. So
Speaking of a dog.
Oh yeah. Just saw a tail there.
Oh, I did German Shepherd.
She is a mix. Her dad was a German Shepherd Chow, and her mom was supposed to be an American Pit mix. But everybody says she looks like a corgi.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! Wow, like a corgi. Oh, because is she very low to the ground?
She's long-legged.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Oh yes, she does. Yes. Oh, she's a very cute girl.
Yeah, she's my baby.
Very good.
So yeah.
So, was Boston? Was that the most people that you'd ever run with, like as far as the race field, but then also as far as like the spectators, like the level of spectators that were there?
Oh, by far. I'm used to running small road race 5Ks or like 200 people events max or 300 max. I mean, I'm sure there were more people than I realized at Merrill's Mile when I did it, because it's a big event in Northeast Georgia. But I'm used to small races. To be honest, I think Chickamauga was the biggest before Boston, and it's still a small race comparatively.
Gotcha.
I think that it's funny because I'm thinking about my times at Boston, and I'm kind of trying to, think more and equate them. And I think one of the things that I had noticed, and I wonder if this is something you noticed, is that unlike other marathons, like there were people just spread out throughout the whole course. So it was like that constant cheering. Like you really didn't get into a place where it was like quiet, and then you're like, oh, here's mile 10 where there's a lot of people, and then here's mile 13 where there's a lot. Like it just seemed like there's at Boston that there's always somebody out there cheering, like that somebody's always clapping or calling or yelling or.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't ready for that. I did not expect all of that. I mean, I knew there were crowds. I knew there was some good support, but I couldn't have fathomed that much support.
Yeah, you hit
I kept listening for things. Like I listened for people's voices that I would know on the side. Like, the on the runs crew was there. I didn't see them like I thought I would. I listened for the monkey. Apparently, it's not making an appearance. And like I kept listening for things that I knew, and well, it was so loud I couldn't hear anything. And by the time I got to mile 20, I was just like, screw it. I am gonna just slog this and suffer this way through.
Yeah.
I think that's what you have to do at mile 20. I think that's part of the Boston process, that once you get there, you're like, oh, there.
Yeah, pretty much. So I had turned off my senses and focused on watching my guides or staying with my guides, so I didn't, run into anybody.
Gotcha. So, have you ever run a race without a guide?
Um, yeah. The two loop ultras, I can do like if they're a flat course, I
Mm.
can the two looped ultras that I've done, well, looped races that I've done multiple of the same one, but I didn't use a guide because it's the Merrill's Mile, which I love that race. I love the people. Sean and Lawford and Sarah Snyder from Dumbass Events do a fantastic job.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Mm.
if you
love
ever
that name.
yeah,
Dumbass
if you ever
events.
if y'all were ever in Dahlonega and you want a fun event, they're great. But I've ran Merrill's Mile a few times, and it's a zero. Technically, it's a 0.9951 loop. It's all,
I like that. That sounds like an Odendall distance.
That does. That
it's
sounds like
on.
a
It's the landing strip for the training base up there.
Okay.
So that's where they do that.
wow.
And then I did a 1 mile loop on a crust travel trail, and that
Hmm.
was my other looped ultra. And I love that type of race because
What?
you talk to so many people back in our uh, you see the same person multiple times, but
Yes.
you even see your top runners, you see your fastest runners.
Yeah.
The one time I ran Merrill's, and the girl who won the 6 hour, which what I was event was in, comes running by me, and I'm a ginger. I've got arm sleeves, I've got a buff on, I've got a hat on, and she's running around in a sports bra and shorts, and she's like, "You got too many clothes on." And I was like, "I'm not as elite as you. You can
It's
run away from the
getting hot
sun."
out here, so take off all your clothes.
Yeah, pretty much. And I was like, "Nope, I'm good. I am a ginger. I am not doing that."
That's right. Oh my gosh.
So, but I love that you can see your elite runners and your
Mm,
back of the pack runners at those kind of races. They
Yeah.
can
I would
loopholes are
agree.
they're mentally challenging. So, and that's a part you've got to get mentally into it, and that's kind of why.
So what's the biggest struggle when you're running without a guide in a race like that?
Those aren't really a strugel.
Uh-huh.
Those are visually wise, those are simple to me.
Oh, okay.
It's like running on a track. It's I ain't got nothing to
Mm.
worry about. And I mean, if somebody puts a cooler out on the course and I'm not expecting it, then yes, but that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah. Gotcha. But like aid station,
No,
you kind of work with the people there or whatever.
yeah, and
Hmm.
most of the time I know the people. If I'm doing a race, I
Yeah.
know the people,
Oh,
so
gotcha.
they know to watch out for me.
Yeah.
Um, I did one run a looped course that was technical, um, and it was rough, but it was fun. I did use a guide for that one. So on a technical looped course, I will use a guide, but
Sure, sure. Oh, yeah.
um, on courses like
So,
Merrill's or like that, it's really simple to follow.
do you, as you're talking, I'm thinking about when I'm out running and I'm just kind of in a fog and I may not be paying attention to what's going on around me, whether it's that I'm not seeing something or I'm not hearing something, and I'll get like startled, or somebody will pass me kind of on the quote unquote wrong side, or um do you is there a type of runner that really like where it frustrates you, like where someone, kind of can come up on the side and really like, is that a concern for you?
Not really. I've always got my head on a swivel. I'm always listening. I run if I'm running with music or podcast, I have the Aftershocks headphones on so I can hear everything that's around me. The thing that annoys me are dogs that are loose that get in the
Mm.
road. Um,
Oh, right.
the little chihuahuas that run out in the road and they're chasing me, and I'm like, I could kick you, but I don't want to hurt you.
Hmm.
I have had an instance where I was running in my neighborhood. This never had any issue with this dog before, and this is before I moved to where I'm at now, so I'm not there anymore. But I was running, and he jumped on me, and
Whoa.
he apparently bit my giblets.
Oh,
Oh, he
He didn't
chipped your
get
jabs.
he got the skin, so I was fine.
oh,
But that's if I hear a big dog
Wow.
now, that's a triggering. Oh goodness.
Well,
What's this dog doing?
wow.
Yeah.
So,
And do you wear anything that I mean, probably when you're running races where you know everybody, I don't know that you necessarily do, but do you wear anything that says like visually impaired or something to or no?
no, not really. We've thought of making shirts that say blind donkey runner or blind runner, but I mean, like we had shirts that for Boston, but that was just, hey, to represent the sponsors that helped us out get there and, our team, the blind donkey runner thing. But most of the time I'm just running normal stuff because like I said, the races that I do, I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm either with a guide or I'm running the track ultras or the loop
Gotcha.
ultra.
Yeah. Gotcha. So tell us about the blind donkey runner. Like, what is there a meaning behind that, or how did that come about? And maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
So the first time I ever did Merrill's, the people that run it were like, "Hey, we'll pay for your entry if you run run the race," and they gave me a code, and it was called the Badass Blind Runner. Well, my wife shortened that to Blind Donkey Runner, and it fits because I'm stubborn.
I love
I
that
don't.
your wife like took a name and just like simplified it to something that wasn't all that close. Like I was, I love that. I love that so much.
And my wife's mother also called me a donkey because I'm stubborn and hard-headed, and I wore a donkey necklace that she had bought me for the longest time. So that's kind of where that came from, and
Oh man,
that just stuck. It stuck. And
I
like I
love
said,
that.
I'm stubborn, so it really. I mean, I probably shouldn't be running with that injury right now, but I'm still trying to get a mile and fix it. So that shows how stubborn I am.
Gotcha.
But don't you think it's funny that you say that? I think that it, being stubborn is sort of like part of what you have to do when you do this sport. And I think
Oh yeah.
with all that you've overcome and done, like to me, like that's just like another stubborn, like where you're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do, like it's it, yeah.
I mean, I will say, how many blind people do you think would even want to run cross country?
That's like, it's like saying, yeah, okay. So, I mean, it's like something somebody would do on a dare, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe, probably not. Right. So it is, that's, I don't know. That's some
I think it's really
impressive
cool.
shit, right?
And I will say, going back to high school, so I came into my freshman season in the middle of the season, and the coach is like, "Hey, do y'all care if he runs?" And the whole team was like, "Yes, run with us." And the whole like
Mm,
they would like the varsity kids would run their race, and then they would fight over who got to guide me in the JV races.
mm.
That's awesome. I was
And
gonna ask like who you're like how you picked
and then
and
my
like
sophomore year, we actually got a guide who was like a kind of a assistant coach who would run with
Mhm.
me. But for that freshman year, I had guys arguing on the bus. I'm gonna run with Robert. No, I'm gonna run with Robert. No, I'm gonna run.
Huh. Now,
It,
have
it,
have you interacted with other blind runners to talk about guide techniques and best practices and things like that, or is your system, the way that you're guided, something that has just developed as far as what works for you?
I don't think I've really had conversations with many blind runners.
Hmm.
Never. It's just, hey, you're a blind runner. Hey, that's awesome. What are you
Hmm.
running?
I
How do you
love
run?
that.
Want to run together? Um,
Mm.
I mean, I've connected with a few blind runners. Like, one is in y'all's neck of the woods. Um, Kyle. Uh, oh goodness.
Oh, yes, I should. Now I'm bad with names, so I remember the first name Kyle. I think I heard um,
Starts with an R. I don't think I know how to pronounce it, so I'm gonna not. butcher his name. Roberto.
I think you have that correct.
I think he has a
Did
little
Michael run with him? Or is that the
I don't
person
know.
that Michael ran?
No, I remember.
Oh, okay.
I think did he run Western States?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Now he does have a little bit more vision than I do, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I've never confirmed that, but just by the way he runs and he can read his watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe he has a little bit more sight than I do.
He has more sight than I do. I can't read my fucking watch.
My watch.
Half
I
the
know.
time.
I can see my watch, but I can't read it.
I know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But no, if I find a blind person that's running, I'm just excited that they're running.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there's one person, maybe two people in Northwest Georgia that I know of that are blind runners. So we're very rare.
Yeah.
I think you find more of them in the city or more in a bigger city, such as like Boston or like Atlanta, but out here in the country of North Georgia.
And then you go onto the trails and there's got to be even fewer because like most of the time, most of the time, unless you're at a really popular place, you go out on the trail and you just don't see anybody.
Oh no.
You might see one or two other people sometimes, but
and there's so many trails around here that I want to experience, but they're all technical and I mean,
yeah. And they're big technical, like those are some serious cliffs. You go out Lookout or, Lookout Mountain or any of the other
those are pretty tough.
Yeah.
The ones closer to me here in Rome I don't think they're that bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're technical, but I don't think they're cliff rocky face.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I've heard some horror stories of Sleeping Giant with all those boulders. So
that's true. That's no joke. That is every time I go there, I'm like, God, I can't believe I actually am with a lot of trails. Like, God, I really forgot how difficult this trail was.
Oh yeah.
I'm that way with West Rock and with Sleeping Giant and sometimes with, a lot of different trails. The Hoppin' Hodges, rail trail. That's
rail
pretty
trails are
bad.
fun.
Yeah. If you're into like pain, sure.
Isn't there is that where the cows are?
Oh yeah.
You and Stacy found?
Yes, that's where the
world's
good
memory.
Yeah, the world's largest cow.
So
that was technically the airline trail, but most people don't know the difference. So they're
it's sort of like the same thing.
They even part of the map was mislabeled for a while.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I love animals and I love cows, so I would definitely.
Oh. Yeah. I tried to pick up a raccoon once, but Art wouldn't let me when we were running.
True.
My
I
wife
really wanted to.
I want a miniature cow, Highland cow, but my wife says no.
I said, tell her I said yes.
You could get little glasses of milk, little shot glasses of milk and everything. Right?
She's like, I'll get you a stuffed animal one. That works.
A stuffed animal
I'm not getting you a real one. We don't have enough space.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I'm like, okay.
So Art, do I get to ask my because I'm dying to ask my census question?
Yes, except I have one more before we
okay,
before
sorry.
that I have a question. So if when you're out running in the woods, one of the challenges is like where and how to go to the bathroom, right?
Bathroom.
So which isn't usually a problem.
Good question.
It's not usually a problem, but like sometimes you might not grab a name brand leaf, or you might not be able to have the good lookout. So how does any challenges or
any close
failures,
calls?
Tell us any shit shows you can talk about.
I pooped on the side of a road before.
There you go.
Yes.
Had to use my shirt and left it there. But I've never really had that on a trail. I've had to walk really fast back to the car before.
Gotcha.
But normally we're around a restroom. So I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Man, I've had way too many ridiculous bathroom things, and just because I'm a dummy, like just because I'm like, wait, this person's coming, but I'm behind a tree that's about 3 centimeters wide. They won't be able to see me. Or I will go and then I'm like walking out and nobody sees me, but I have to announce to everyone, like, hi, I was just in the woods. I was going to the bath. Like, I'm like, shut up. Why are you speaking? Just
Well,
stop speaking.
I mean, I've had some close ones because I've had to, like I said, I've had to walk back to the car really fastly or walk back to but normally, um,
That's impressive that you were walking fast after you run.
well, it wasn't very far into the run. And also I try to double check, my stomach issues before I leave the house.
That's a good plan.
Oh,
I
you're
always
so good.
forget
You
that.
remind me of Reagan.
I know that's a compliment.
It is.
It is a compliment.
That's the
Yes.
highest compliment one can receive, pretty much.
It is. It is because, yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about connecting with others on the trail and stuff like that, and in the running community. It sounds like you've had like a very supportive group. I mean, from the cross country, your cross country team that was supportive to some of your other friends who supported you during your marathon efforts there, your qualifying efforts and through the race. Have you ever found it difficult to, do you think it's been an asset or a problem as far as connecting with people?
Not really. I mean, if I see somebody running, I'm going to talk to them. Or if I hear somebody running, I'm going to talk to them. And, I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram that I've tried to, in Strava that I've connected with people. There's a couple of running groups here that I've connected with, but a lot of it's unless I'm doing races, I'm usually running by myself, which I know that sounds very sad and lonely. And I will.
That's kind of how it is. The loneliness of the long distance runner. That's like, that's a thing.
And I will take anybody. I will take anybody that's trustworthy and that wants to run with me. Come on, I'll run with anybody and I will adjust to your pace. If I'm slower than you or faster than you, I'll slow down because I just want to experience time with people. I want to enjoy the run. I don't want to run somebody in the ground.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's great.
I was competitive at one time, and now I'm just let's go chill. Let's go have fun.
Yeah.
I think you describe so perfectly like what it is that we all look for and what we thrive to get from a community type of sense when we're out running. It's just like as you were talking, I was thinking, oh man, like how excited would I be if like you and I happen to like stumble upon one another in a run or a race, and I would just have a great time like talking to you and getting to know you, and that to me is so exciting to be able to meet different individuals and to connect with them on it's a weird kind of connection that you make when you're out running with somebody or racing with them. So yeah, I really like that.
And that's why I like the ultra running community and the loop races, because you do see all the people. You do meet multitude of people. The road running community, I haven't found that as much. But I haven't done it. Like I said, I lean more toward the ultra community because that's where I feel like I fit in best. I feel like my personality fits better with those.
Absolutely.
Right on. So what do you think is the biggest thing that people get wrong when it comes to being blind?
Most people think that every blind person is completely blind. And there are so many different spectrums of blindness. I mean, like me, I could see a little bit, but not good enough. There's people who are legally blind, quote unquote, but they can still drive with glasses. There's, some people are colorblind so bad they're legally blind, but they're just colorblind. So there's so many different spectrums. And most of the people that I have interacted with, like if I'm out in public and I'm just with my wife and our friends, they don't realize I'm blind because I don't look blind, quote unquote. And I don't usually have my blind cane with me or my blind stick, as I call it, because I trust my wife good enough that she's going to guide me, and I trust her. So I don't need it. I don't need to look out for things. I trust her. Now if I'm with my friends, I'll usually have my blind stick, so they don't have to focus on me. They can focus on me and everything's around us. You know, I don't want to put that burden on them. And they're not gonna, my friends who I do run with or hang out with, they're not going to think anything of it. They're gonna help me out because they're friends. But I like to be independent, so I like to use my cane when I'm with other people than my wife. And like I said, they don't realize I'm blind. They'll be handing or money to me or handing food to me, and they don't realize I'm blind. And my wife's like, "Hey, he's blind. That's why he's not taking it from you." So it's kind of awkward sometimes.
So don't you just step back and don't try that shit with me, okay? That's what you tell them.
I'm just waiting on them, and they're like, "Oh, are you going to take it?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm blind." And then they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize." And I was like,
Gotcha.
Well, a lot of people don't until they actually interact with me. Now, if you see me running, you're going to realize I'm blind because I weave sometimes. And I don't ever look anybody in the face. That's not intentional. It's just I don't focus on that because I'm listening to you.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay. So have you ever found, so that's like the one side of it as far as, maybe not getting help or things like that in your independence. Have you ever found where people are trying to help too much or thinking like, okay, like, just because you can't see, maybe it's, maybe you can't think either. Like, does that ever, like,
I've had that, but it's been very few and far between. I can't really remember an instance where that's happened, but it has happened.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's not.
You exude so much positivity and like confidence and just graciousness that like to me it would be hard to imagine someone being like that because it's what you like put out there. That I feel like that's, it's not always that what we put out there we get back, but it sounds like, between your wife who awesomely called you a donkey, and your friends and just the running community in your school, that it's that, what they seem to have been so drawn to was that you just have this really, good, positive personality and you're, a good, interesting person.
I try to be confident, but my confidence is when it comes to running is not the best. Navigational wise, I'm decently confident, but I try to be. I don't want to come across as arrogant, so I try to be. But my confidence is, it's not the best.
Just as far as like, do you mean like as far as like being like, okay, I'm not gonna, if I'm gonna run into something or I'm not fast enough or
just not in shape, or I'm always like, I'm not in shape enough or I'm not fast enough.
Oh my gosh, I got to tell you this though, John, I don't know if that's a blind characteristic because God, I feel, I joke about it a lot, but like, I think a lot of people that I talk to feel that way at every freaking starting line. You're like, oh my God, I just didn't train enough. And like, even I look back to even my best training days, my PR, I probably got like with 85% of training, right? I wasn't 100%, definitely wasn't 100% trained because life doesn't if you have an interesting life, it generally doesn't let you train 100%.
Oh no. I know it's not a blind thing. I know it's not a blind thing. It's just it's a personal thing. Now, I will say, when it comes to, there's two things I'm confident about. It's directions and math. I have a map.
Wow.
I have a map of Georgia in my head, pretty much, like major highways. So, and I know this is probably too far, but it's a random thing. Random high school mascots in the state of Georgia. I have every mascot in the state of Georgia in my head.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
It's so funny because the things that you're describing are things that I really struggle with. And I actually focus a lot on on people's mouths moving and closed captioning and that kind of thing. So I focus on the other versus the listening because it can be hard. So that's like, oh, as you're saying, like these what you can do. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, those are only the real areas that I'm like I know I'm confident in.
Mm.
But those are good areas.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Random, but
So so speaking of that, like I wanted to ask, like, you know, so we have our, our five senses. We have, smell, sight, sound, touch, taste. And so I want to know from you is when you're running, what senses do you feel like how are your senses heightened? And in just in general too?
um, well, technically, I have a hearing loss in my left ear, and it's small. But I will, if I'm in person, I will turn my head to the right or my right ear toward people when I'm talking to them. So it looks weird. But I have to focus really hard on hearing things. I guess outside of running, touch is very. My fingertips are very sensitive because I've read Braille all my life, so that's something I had to learn. So I can, but running wise, my ears and smell are very sensitive, and I guess feel with my feet because I feel everything.
Mm.
I have to feel, if there's a root coming up, I'm gonna find it. Or
Mm.
if there's a pothole in the road, I'm gonna find it. So,
So
um,
running in the woods versus running on the road, I mean, besides, we're talking about like where there's obstacles that come up and that you may not see and you needing a guide, do you feel like when you're in that atmosphere of the woods, do some of your senses feel more heightened than when you're on the road, like your sense of smell um uh or feel?
I guess feel would be the most one because I'm having to
Mm,
feel like what's on the ground, what's near me,
yeah.
Mm.
what are my surroundings. I guess hearing again still would be like, hey, I got to hear my guide. I got to be focused on hearing what he's saying, or you know, focused on, oh, do I hear a creek near me, or do I hear
Mm,
rustling in the bushes, or what do I hear? What do I feel?
yeah.
Gotcha. There's a lot of times I think for me personally where I'm running on semi-technical trails, like baby heads, I guess you would call it, or you know, sharp rocks and stuff that
Mhm.
can trip you up, but nothing that's
Did
gonna
you just
like,
call it a baby head?
yeah, yeah, like,
A baby head?
yeah. You never heard that
That
back?
sounds so creepy.
It is. It's a biker. That's probably a mountain biker term initially. So yeah, they call it baby heads.
I
So
figured I knew.
Ah.
I've heard that before, but I knew what you were
yeah.
talking.
So when I'm running on those, like it gets so that like you can't or I can't look at this and calculate where I'm going to place each foot. I mean, you would be exhausted in no time. So
Hmm.
basically, a lot of times it's just like I'm going to just run down there on an intuition, and that when a step doesn't feel right, I'm just not taking that step. Like
Hmm.
I'm starting to step, I feel my ankle start to twist, so that leg tucks up underneath, the other one takes the brunt of it, and then I look for the next step, and kind of run by. I think for me, the more technical the trail is, the more it's by feel and less by um, you know, decisive, place this foot there.
I could see that. Now, honestly, the trails that I've ran on have been either really rocky, like
Mm-hmm.
loose rocks,
Mm.
gravel, I guess, or
Mm.
smooth, like like trails that are dirt, but there's
Mm-hmm.
roots, and there hasn't been really, really rock like baby heads like you're talking about
Oh, okay.
that
Mm-hmm.
I've seen. I'm sure there are some around here,
Yeah.
Toddler heads. So
um,
sorry.
but I haven't really seen any. I haven't really found any.
Okay.
And I would probably try to avoid those because
Yeah.
that would be more hiking to me. And I mean,
Yeah.
hiking is, I mean, it's great, but I love the feel of running.
Mm.
Yeah, part of why I had asked that is I thought of my experience when I'm out, especially when I'm out on a trail or on the rail trail, and um, and really when I'm out there in those areas, I think I really lean a lot on my senses
Hmm.
and just that, what everything like smells like and what it feels like under my feet um and I think that's the thing that is so interesting about, being out on trails and stuff. And so that's why I was kind of curious, like, do you have one sense that you is the strongest sense for you that you kind of lean on the most in running
Um,
and just in day to day?
I- Probably my hearing, touch, or
Mm,
ironically, the sight. I do realize I do rely on my sight that I have probably way too
mm.
much. Um, but I guess the hearing, the touch would be tied, and then sight would be right behind it.
Mm.
Or feel, I guess, is not touch.
So have you is this kind of going to be a random question, but um so you've heard of like a runner's high.
Hmm.
Have you ever experienced a runner's high?
Yeah. I've had it a few times. Mostly it's after a long run that I felt really happy about.
Mm.
Um, uh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious if you can describe your what that feels like to you, because I know what it feels like for me, and yet I've had so many people that are like, is that really such a thing? Is that, and what is it and what is it like? And um I think only someone that runs can kind of truly, or once you've experienced it, that you can kind of truly describe it. And I think it's probably different for all of us.
to me, it's kind of just a feeling. It's a euphoric feeling that, hey, I just did that. Like
Mm.
Mm.
my body is on cloud nine because I just finished something very hard.
Mm.
Um,
So like a feeling throughout, like is it like a mental state as well, or
I think so. I think so. Um, it's definitely different than being um, high otherwise.
Yeah, I had a runner's high once. Okay, it did involve certain drugs also, and there were cops. There were cops behind me, and you
So
know,
there's a I do have a couple cop stories if you want.
oh yeah, we love cop
yeah.
stories. Police
So
officers, our friends in blue. Go ahead.
oh yeah, definitely. So I was
Okay.
running in college one morning with a friend of mine, and the cop comes flying around the corner and almost runs over us.
I mean,
Also,
I'm
Yeah,
not
in
laughing.
in,
I don't
in
know
the
why I'm laughing.
car.
yeah, in the car. So fast forward to I'm after college and I'm running on these backcountry roads near my in-laws, and a car comes flying like way faster than he should have. And then I hear sirens, and apparently I was in the middle of a police car chase or police chase.
Mm.
Oh, I thought you were like they were chasing you. I was like, get out.
No,
Wow.
he wasn't focused on me, and I was worried I was gonna get hit, but I was on the other side of the road, so I made sure I was out of his way. And then I hear some sirens, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm in the middle of a police chase. So
Wow.
Wow.
Hmm.
I asked my wife earlier, like, hey, what happened? And they looked it up online and figured out, hey, yep, that's the course they took.
Jeez.
Wow. I don't feel like I have any good. Well, no, I have a couple, but they're like typical me, like when I was driving once and there was a car following behind me, and it was late at night and it was following really close for a while, and I was getting more and more scared because I'm like, why
Mm.
is, it's really late, why is this car following me, like I'm going on all these side roads, and I kind of was paying so much attention to the car behind me. I wasn't really paying much attention to the road in front of me. And I took a turn kind of quickly. And sure enough, then the car, their lights go on, and so it was a police car.
Oh.
And he stops me, and this is kind of a me thing, but I was so mad that here's this person following me on these sketchy roads at like 1 a.m. that instead of being like, let me pull down the window and say, hi, officer, I'm sorry. I like put down the window, my head's hanging out the window, and I'm like, do you realize that you are chasing me? And I was freaked out, and you can't do that. And the guy's just like looking at me like, what? Like,
he's like, I'm getting a restraining order against you.
He's like, do you know how fast you took that turn? And I'm like, yes, I know how fast I took that turn. I'm like, you scared me half to death. I'm like, I didn't know if you were a creepy person. And it wasn't until later that I'm like, wow, I probably shouldn't have said all that to this police officer, but I was just so upset in the moment that
I do have to worry about, like, I used to be worried about people, attacking me while I run or trying to injure me or trying to, get my phone or, and rob me or whatever. And I was like, you know what? It's my time. It's my time. Someone's going to get me. They're going to get me. And I try to run. If I'm running by myself, I'm running in good areas. So I take those less risky areas. And
you were a wrestler too, right?
Yes.
So that's got to be like, I mean, the wrestlers that I knew in school, like there were a lot of people I'd fuck with, but like wrestlers, no way, because they could put your arm behind your head and just like snap it off like it was an overdone lobster.
I'm not in that kind of shape anymore, but if I had to, I feel like if I had to, I could, but I'm definitely not in 6-minute all out shape anymore.
I don't know that I ever was in that shape. But oh yeah, because I'd forgotten about the wrestling. Do you feel like there was an advantage because you so had to, I mean, I don't wrestle, I never have, but I'm imagining that like you really need to read the other person's body and like where they're tense and where you're gonna maneuver to kind of pin this person or have them pin you. Do you feel like that having that sense of feel helped you?
Possibly. It might have. I never was that good at wrestling. I was stronger than everybody I wrestled, but we were in a tough area. We were Northeast Georgia, Northwest Georgia were really for Georgia at that time, they were really intense with wrestling. So they were more technically sound than I was, but I held my own for the most part.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm at a loss because yeah.
But I will say the sport that I enjoyed the most was cross country. Wrestling taught me a lot of things. It taught me how to be tough. It taught me how to, push through things when times were going rough and just not to quit. But I still love the sport, but I do have to say cross country was probably my favorite out of the three.
I would agree with you. And because I know what about it. I think especially now that as a mom and having boys that run cross country, it kind of brings back what I loved about it. But what is it about it that you love or loved so much?
Just the exploration of the trails that we would go to, the different parks, the different schools, just running in general, and then the team, being there for you. If any parent wants me, I mean, I will promote wrestling out the wazoo. I will say, hey, any kid that wants to get into it because it's worth it. I mean, but it's not for everybody. But like I said, cross country was just the feeling of being in the woods and exploring and having my friends running there every day. And I was blessed with a great coach that he always said that if he couldn't do the workout, he wasn't going to make us do it. He would run with us. And he was in fantastic shape. If you beat him in a mile, he'd buy you a Subway sandwich.
To slow you down.
And I don't think
oh my God, I love that.
I think there might have been one person to beat him in a mile.
Wow.
That's something.
But he was.
But I think that's Oh, go on. Sorry.
He was amazing. He was the reason I kept with cross country because he was such a good coach and such a motivating coach.
That's kind of like you are. Like you had such a positive grade school experience with your coach. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't get it wrong, right?
No, Mr. Bree. I ran cross country for one season. Okay. And I wasn't amazing to the listeners. They're going to be shocked and call bullshit on this, but I didn't win every race I was in.
No.
It's
really
somehow, I don't know.
Like, wow.
I mean, I probably could have, but I didn't.
I
was really like, whatever. I think I was really good at running really short distances. And at that age, I just had no, whatever. I couldn't, I don't know. I wasn't winning, I was just doing my best and I did okay. And, but when I came back to it at 38, I felt like I was a runner, there was something about it that I liked and something about it that represented an ideal of existence. When I finish, you talk about runner's high, when I finish a run, I feel like I'm a good animal. I feel like I have done something that is that just clicks with me,
for me, it's when I'm actually in better shape. If the shape I'm in right now, I'm not really happy with it, so I don't feel that way. But after a long, good 13-mile run or a 10-mile run, when I'm in shape, I'm like, yes, that's the feeling.
Yeah, I if I do a run like that, I say like that was a really good run for a fat fuck. I'm pretty cruel with myself sometimes, so I don't encourage anybody to use that kind of self-dialogue. But
my wife tells me not to do that. She tells me not to do that all the time. So
yeah, no, I think we got to be. You know what? John, I think that like at the end of the, all we have is where we are today, right? We're so I think that we got to accept ourselves for better or worse where we are today, and then either change something if we want to, but know that it's okay not to do it out of shame, not to do it out of blaming ourselves or being triggered from to do it for anybody else, but just to I don't know, just to do it because it's something that makes us feel good, and to accept where we are today, like, hey, you know what?
That makes sense.
I think the thing I have to remind myself is like, what would I tell one of my kids if they were me?
Oh, I thought you'd say, what would you tell baby Art Bob, baby Bob,
little baby Bobby Byram? That's my
yes,
brother.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What would I tell him? Like if he came to me with an issue, I would tell him, say, hey, listen, you know what? You're not in the shape you want to, but you fucking ran today, man. So like, let's celebrate that. That's a good thing.
And if anyone out there or you guys are like me, I'm my worst critic. I will say that, and that's an issue of mine that I have to get rid of and get over. And sometimes running helps with that. Sometimes running helps with that, and sometimes running makes that worse.
Yeah. But you know what? It is a I think a lot of people have that self-critical element.
Like nobody can be harder on you than yourself, kind of thing. No. Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I will say the people around me are so motivating and so supportive, that I'm lucky.
Yeah, I noticed that I had a problem, like, because I got pretty bad with it, where I would like my self-talk, I would start saying something like I would trip a little bit and I would say, come on, you fuck, like that. Like, I mean, come on, like, can you imagine like talking to somebody else like that? Like you're running with somebody and they trip and you, come on, you fuck, let's go. I mean, there's probably a little bit of a time for that, a very small time where you need to cut the bullshit and get going. But as a general rule of thumb, like, you know what? It's like, you're out there doing the best you can, and you can't take one moment out of context, and say like, hey, I should be this, I should be that.
When I trip, I'm like, oh shit, damn it, where did that come from? I didn't see that
Yeah.
coming.
Fucking guides, right?
Well,
Stupid guides.
normally it's just me when I'm running, and I'm like, that route or that pothole wasn't there when I came back through here earlier.
I don't know. It
John-
just snuck up on you.
So John, our advice to you is that next time you're out at a race and you trip or you start to stumble or you hit a rock, just yell at your guide and say, God, didn't we talk about this or no? Like, are you blind? I mean, like, you got to give them some shit. And
Oh,
right.
I have came back from a run bloody when I had a guide. Like my knees are bloody and he felt so terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, it was dark. You're good. It happens.
Yeah.
Like,
See, you're so nice. I feel like that would be me, where I'd be like, right, so sorry, because I ran us into trees, I got us lost, I did whatever. And I feel like you'd be like, it's all good, it's all right.
Yeah. I'll be
it's
so
not
sad.
a-
I'll be
my
so
wife
sad when
always
this
tells
is
me-
over.
my wife always tells me it's not an adventure unless I come back bleeding.
There you go. That's
So
probably true.
You know what? I feel like I know your wife. I love your wife. You tell her. I think she's the best. She is awesome. Yes. So one of the things that I used to do and then I kind of started to do again is I have this big pile of like different quotes, and I kind of pull one out each day and read it and kind of leave it on my desk and just look at it and kind of think about it and how it maybe pertains to my life. And today's it read, lead by example with hope, not fear, which was said by Michelle Obama. And so I'm wondering if you can just tell us, how do you do that? Like, how do you lead by example with hope, not fear?
Let's see.
I'm putting you on the spot, I know.
I mean, I guess just when I'm running, like, I do worry that, hey, there might be something out there. But I have to just be like, well, hopefully I can outrun it. I know I can. I know I'm aware, so I can protect myself from things that might be there.
I
can't be paranoid at points. I can worry about things too much, but in other walks of life, I do worry about things too much. But I know I just have to get over it, like when it comes to running, because that's something I really want to do.
And I think it's also something that none of us have. We're certainly not all perfect or anywhere near it. I'm, speaking for myself, like, yeah,
you are perfect.
Right, that's it, Beck. Okay. These the closing arguments now. No, so it is like, under the best of circumstances, it's life life is a challenge. It's kind of like that pendulum that, it swings back and forth, and keeping yourself, on a, in a positive mindset, or in a, even if you're not in a positive mindset, just an okay-ish mindset takes some work. And I think running is a nice, it's not therapy, but it is something that always gives me a boost.
In your toolbox.
It is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
definitely
in the toolbox, in the van.
And I just to say one other thing too about this, I think what's so funny is, when I pulled this quote and I read it this morning, I was like, oh, I'm going to ask. And as you've been talking, I've been kind of looking back at it, and it's just, I think it's really funny, because to me, what I see is that you to me lead so much by example. Like you seem to be a natural leader, and that you don't lead with fear. So I think it was perfect that I got this, because I just keep thinking of you as the high school runner. And that's just the that's just what I get. Like where I'm like, man, I wish I went to that high school with you. Like there's somebody that's just like I, I don't know. I think that's something that you just really exude is just leading by a great example. And I mean, who knows? I could be wrong. And like after we hang up, you might be like, putting a magnifying glass on ants or something and burning them, and and you're not a nice person. But
I mean, when in high school, I'm different than I was. I was probably more shy back then, but I mean, I was not the top of the team. I was JV and almost at the bottom of the JV team. But like I said, like I enjoyed being around those guys, and they always I feel like they, like he's out here running, he's blind. We don't have an excuse.
Right on. Yeah, that's
yeah.
You know what? A lot of times who knows what value you brought to the team that you weren't even aware of, but the fact that like you think about a cross country start, right? There's few things in sport. I mean, that's like people painting their face half blue and yelling freedom, right? And charging across the battlefield. I mean, that's a real, that's putting it literally on the line there. And going into something that is going to be extremely painful and just running wild there. So to do that is to do that when you don't have to do that as somebody who has like you could say I'm fucking blind and you want me to like I'm not going to run. I mean, come on, I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to do something else here.
I only had one instance where I stepped on somebody in one of those starts, and I felt bad. Also, in track, I was running at the Blind Academy in Macon, Georgia, for a 5th year in high school, and I was running either the mile or the 2 mile, and this girl was trying to catch the girl in front of me, who was one on the top of the region, and I was between them, and she said, "Get the F out of my way. Get the fuck out of my way." And I was like, "Nope." So she passed me about the 200-meter mark, and with about 100 meters to go, I flew by her and beat her, and I was like, "That's what you get."
That's what you get.
Oh
That's right.
God,
That's what you get when you fuck with the donkey runner.
At that time, I was
Who's
not
the
known
donkey now?
Sniff my ass.
at that time I was not known as the donkey runner, but I could have been.
That's right, and that's where it began.
I'm not letting you beat me now.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
I think we got to end on that note too. So, or start to wrap it up here.
Perfect note.
But
awesome.
John, it is so. Before we go, is there anything else?
Your closing arguments.
Yeah. Did you have any closing arguments?
His closing would be so different than his opening.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. I guess.
I take back my opening argument.
If there's any,
you're a bunch of idiots.
There's nothing stopping you. If you're visually impaired and you want to run, find somebody that's willing to run with you and just go, because it's possible. I'm proof.
Very good.
Yeah, you are. I love that.
Excellent. Becky, Evil Becky, any closing arguments from you?
I just now I'm motivated to go down and run a race with you. I feel like I'm one of the people on the teams that's like, no, but I want to run with them, but I want to. No, I want, like, yeah. So you're gonna have to keep us updated on what you've got going on in races and stuff, because that would just be an absolute treat to come in and run with you. You might be pulling me along and being like, oh my God, hurry up. But well, yeah.
If y'all are in the South, just hit me up. I'm willing to, Northwest Georgia, North or Southeast Tennessee, Northeast Alabama. Just there's plenty of trails down here.
There you go. Or maybe Merrill's Mile. So.
Oh yeah, that's July 11th through the 13th. That's the same weekend every year, pretty much. And That's enough.
And is it spelled MERRELL?
I don't know, to be honest with
We'll
you.
find it.
It's on Ultra Sign Up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're gonna look at that and put it in our notes.
Yep.
Awesome.
No doubt.
By the way, Dumbass Events stands for Dahlonega Ultra Marathon Association.
Okay.
What does it stand for?
Dahlonega Ultra Marathon Association.
I love that.
Yeah, that's what that stands for.
Very good. Okay.
Wow.
Well, John, thank you so much for for the time you spent tonight and for being with us since episode 20. Congratulations on your Boston Marathon qualification and finish, and
Yay.
And the great message that you spent, that you gave to our listeners, and the time you spent with us tonight. So
I appreciate the opportunity. You guys were fun to talk to and hang out with.
Thank you.
Yay.
To all
Thank you. Tell your wife I said hi.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes,
I feel like I know
awesome.
her. We're BFFs now.
To all of our listeners out there, thank you. First of all, thank you for listening. And if you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help. And we will see you all in a mile
and a half.
All right.
Woo-wee! Yeah. That was awesome.
Excellent. Okay.
I had to.
Very good, John. So thank you. Thanks again.
No, it's Robert.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's good. Surprise! It's all good.
Robert. Uh-oh. Why is this saying
Happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
What the fuck is going on?
Oh, that's so weird.
Hello, everyone, and
this is doing. Hold on for a second. I don't know why this has been doing this for a while. Let me.
Oh my, this is so.
I don't know why.
Wow.
That was funny.
It plays.
That was really crazy.
It did that last episode too, as I was playing the sound for some.
9:03 p.m. in 1 second.
Oh, okay. Is that you?
Oh, my watch is talking.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. No, I thought that was like another song coming on.
Oh no, that was my watch.
The system. So,